Do you feel utterly hopeless trying to stay on track with your healthy diet plan? Week after week after week, you keep telling yourself, I'll start fresh Monday, I'm gonna eat right the whole week, and I won't give into any temptation. And then by default, you just end up giving in the next day and the next day and the next day, and this repetitive cycle is just wearing you down. There is an awesome solution for this problem. I'm going to show you the #1 strategy I use personally and with my weight loss clients to help them stay on track week after week after week on their healthy diet plan just by batch prepping large, delicious salads. So let's get started. So you always want to start with a super sharp knife. This was pretty pricey, but it's so worth it because I use it every single day practically, and definitely every week for these salads. But you need a really sharp knife to cut through all these vegetables that you'll be eating to stay on track with your healthy diet. Oh, like this giant kale I have right here. This is so awesome. I got this at the grocery store this morning. I was really surprised because it's winter in Wisconsin right now. I'll stop waving this knife around. Okay, so greens actually have lots and lots of these wonderful components called thylakoids that they get from the photosynthesis process, basically. So the thylakoids actually do two things. They reduce cravings, which is huge for anybody trying to stay away from those nasty, hyperpalatable foods that are keeping you off track week after week. But they also reduce your appetite, so you won't be searching the refrigerator all the time looking for snacks, because we all know where that leads. So between reducing your appetite and reducing your cravings, it's so much easier to stay on track eating these large healthy salads. I try to get anywhere from 6 to 9 cups of greens per day, and it has made such a big difference in my ability to maintain my weight. So the first thing you want to do with your sharp knife is make sure it's sharp. So I'm going to sharpen mine because it's been a minute. I just have this knife sharpener. Use the wet stones to sharpen the knife. So I'm just going to fill this with water, and we're going to gently slide it back and forth. And then we put it in the polishing stone. Now that our knife is sharp, you want to get yourself a cutting board, and you can use either plastic or wood. It really doesn't matter, or stone. I just use plastic because it's so easy to clean. I hate using wood or bamboo because you just cannot throw them in the dishwasher every time you need to. You are also going to need one of these. This is a 40-cup Rubbermaid container to keep your salad nice and fresh. It is rather large. This will keep it fresh throughout the week. So today I'm going to use some lacinato kale, bok choy, a mixed bag of charred baby spinach and kale for my power greens. And I like these because they're already washed. I don't have to spend time doing that. But also, I don't like how the moisture kind of ruins your salad throughout the week. So I try to keep them as dry as possible. Then I have some red green cabbage, lots of broccoli sprouts, red onion, some jicama, and some bell peppers. Now, you can switch these up from week to week, and I definitely recommend doing that. You don't want to be eating the same thing week after week. Not only will you get sick of it, but you will not be getting the full gamut of the nutritional profile that you need to get out of your food. So I make sure to alternate my greens, my toppings, the types of onion I use, the type of sprouts I use, everything. Some things stay the same, like the cabbage. You always want to make sure you have something crunchy. Otherwise, it's just not a salad. You don't want to be eating a big bite of spring mix all the time with a bunch of spinach and, some romaine lettuce. It does not taste good. Or like baby romaine lettuce, the stuff that's really, it almost feels wilted, like super thin and malleable. You want something that holds its shape, like the bok choy and the cabbages, but also romaine lettuce is really helpful for that crunch. You just get the full gamut when it comes to all the different aspects of the sensory experience when you're eating a meal. So crunch is really important. The other thing that's really important is cutting your greens super, super finely. If you don't do this, you're gonna get a huge chunk of spinach in your mouth and a huge chunk of kale. That does not taste good. So the finer you cut your greens, the better they will taste. I know this takes more time and more energy, but it's so worth it. And if it gets you to eat your salad day after day, then so be it. 2 more pointers real quick. You want to have a clean space to work in. That is so underestimated, the power of a clean kitchen when you are trying to batch prep. But also, it's helpful to have like a triangulation of this is where I'm cutting, this is where I put what I'm cutting, and this is where I put the like the trimmings and all the garbage that you're gonna throw away. This is how I have mine set up. This is where I do my cutting. This is where I put everything that I cut. And this is where I put all the trimmings and the stuff I'm gonna throw away. I just set on some kind of bag. You can throw it directly in the trash if you want. I just think this is a good system for me. So from start to finish, I mean, not including going to the grocery store and getting the groceries, but typically this takes me about an hour, hour and a half, but it's once a week and then you're done. You never wanna be asking yourself, what am I hungry for? Because by default, you are going to grab the most hyperpalatable, off-plan item in your house. And most of us don't live alone, so we don't get to have the luxury of choosing our environment to be squeaky clean. All right, so I'm gonna start with cutting up my kale. Some people will massage their kale before putting it in their salad. I just chop it up super finely. I feel like it does the same function, but to each their own. Whatever works for you, whatever gets you to eat this salad, that's what we're looking for. I almost forgot. Another helpful thing that I like to do while I am chopping and chopping and chopping every week is watch one of my favorite podcasts or YouTube videos or documentaries or whatever it is that's going to help you continue your momentum on this health journey. So anything plant-based nutrition related, or when it comes to your health or your body, just something to maintain that healthful philosophy around what exactly is it that I'm doing and why. You can even binge on Netflix if you wanted to. Whatever your pleasure, just maintain a positive attitude around this batch prepping every week, because when you start to feel like it's laborious, you're not gonna do it anymore. Okay, so there is my kale all chopped up. Now I'm gonna move on to my onion because I like getting it out of the way. To be honest, it makes me cry every single time, no matter what kind of onion I use. I'm super sensitive. And I know some of you are not interested in onions, but please, please, please do not forego them. They have so many more beneficial components that are going to provide that necessary environment for your microflora to maintain a healthy, lean system. The trick is to cut them up super, super finely so you can barely taste them if you're super adverse to them. Okay, it's also helpful to work with the onion when you're chopping it. So cutting it against the rings that were already made in the first place, so you can have a nice, clean, perpendicular cut. Ooh, my eyes are already watering. Okay, now you just thinly slice all the way through. Oh my goodness, this one's super strong. Whew. Okay, and you don't want to throw too many onions in your salad because it will completely overpower every bite. Okay, I'm gonna throw these in here and evenly disperse them. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right, now we're gonna move on to the power greens. Again, anytime you can buy organic, obviously that's ideal. But when you can buy organic and triple washed, that's even better. You can just take them right out of the package, chop them up and throw them in your container. Salads take a really long time to chew. So if you do some of that pre-chewing by chopping up your greens super finely before you eat them, it's a much more pleasurable experience and you don't feel like you have to spend half your day chewing on greens. Some lettuces that I don't like to use in my salad are spring mixes, simply because the leaves wilt so easily. And you want this to stay fresh throughout the week. And believe it or not, by day 7, sometimes day 8 or even 9, this tastes almost identical as day 1. And I'll show you a little trick to keeping it fresh at the end. So stick around. So I'm actually gonna use a salad master to chop my cabbage nice and finely, almost like a coleslaw. It'll make it super, super paper thin. Cabbage is actually a cruciferous vegetable, so I try to get this in my salad every single week. That's what our cabbage looks like after I take it through the salad master. Nice and super fine. It would be so much easier to do this with a second person filming me. What a luxury. All right, now we're going to cut up the red cabbage into these large chunks to send them through the salad master. If you've never had raw red cabbage in your salad, you are missing out, my friend. All right, so there's my red cabbage. It's just gorgeous. You want to try to get as many different colorful items in your salad as you can. They always say try to create the rainbow. So here's my purple or violet. And that's really all I use the salad master for. So I'm just gonna clean that up quick and put it away. All right, next we're gonna cut up our broccoli sprouts. These may seem small and insignificant, but they are so important. This is actually the seedling while it's still in the germination phase. So it is just a burst of nutritional value instead of the amount you would get had you let it grow all the way through into a broccoli stalk. I think people make the mistake of forgetting to chop these up too, just because they seem so tiny, but you really want to make sure you cut everything. Otherwise, again, you just get big mouthfuls of one ingredient and it is not appealing. We want this to be a lasting habit. You will not continue to do something simply for your health when it doesn't taste good. And you just want to evenly disperse those across your salad and move on to our bok choy. I feel like technique is a big deal too when it comes to how you chop your vegetables, because you can really mess up your wrists and just make it an unpleasurable experience each and every time you do it if you're not holding the knife properly and chopping the vegetables in the most economical way. So what I did is I just watched a ton of YouTube videos and I took a plant-based nutrition cooking class. So it really helped to understand how to how to cut up vegetables properly, or at least in the most senseful way. All right, we're almost done with our greens, and then we'll move on to our toppings. Okay, let's start on our jicama. You just want to make sure to get all of the skin off. Jicama is a wonderful addition because it also provides that crunch, but it has a bit of sweetness to it that I just absolutely love. Last but not least, are bell peppers. And this is not everything I put on my salad. This is just what I put on that's able to be pre-prepped ahead of time. So like the mushrooms and the tomatoes and the seasonings, obviously, and the dressing, whatever dressing you prefer to use, is going to go on after the fact. So throughout the week, as opposed to all at once. So here is my orange and my red that I'll be getting in my rainbow, and my white for the jicama. Sometimes I use Anaheim peppers, jalapenos, or banana peppers. Bell peppers will also provide a delicious crunch in your salad. I keep referring to crunchiness because it is so important. That's what potato chips are all about, their entire appeal. The food industry has come across the interesting fact that we actually prefer crunchy foods because they mimic freshness. So if you get your crunch naturally, you don't have to seek out your potato chips or crackers or whatever it may be. All right, so we're just going to disperse these into our salad. And then I'll show you guys the trick to keep it fresh. It is really helpful to put a towel inside your salad to collect the moisture that will inevitably build up throughout the week, especially if your fridge and your freezer are as packed full of produce as mine. Okay, you can also put one of these on the bottom if you prefer. I find that just putting one on the top works fine. And some people use paper towel. I just don't like to be so wasteful, and I feel like this works better. And there you go. Voila, all done. So there is your kale, your onions, your chard, spinach, and baby kale mix, the chopped cabbage, red and green, the bok choy, as well as the jicama and the bell peppers. Beautiful. What I hate so much about the diet industry is that it has taken us so far away from making our own food in the kitchen. So instead of relying on packaged junk that somebody else has developed in a lab and thrown all sorts of preservatives and sugar and salt and oil to make them super palatable, so you keep relying on them, is not going to help you in the long run. So the sooner we can get back into the kitchen and into a routine where we are expecting to make our own meals and we are expecting the amount of time it's going to take and the amount of effort each week we're going to need to put into it, I feel like that's such a better route than relying on anybody else to make your food for you. So if you found this strategy helpful, I actually have a really exciting offering that I'm going to be rolling out either next week or the week after. So if you're watching this video in the present, then make sure you stay tuned for next week's video, because I'll be explaining what it is I've been working on. I'm super excited about this project, and I hope to bring more people under my wing and teach them all the different methods that I've used with my one-on-one clients throughout the years to get them to their ideal body weight and back to health. That's really the underlying goal here, is that we want to maintain our longevity and our health span as long as possible. And this delicious salad will help you do that. When it comes to making your salad each day, I add a ton of a variety of seasonings, sometimes garlic powder, black pepper, turmeric, cumin, different all-purpose seasonings. There are so many different options, and you can make it taste differently every single day, regardless of whether it's the same exact salad day after day, because you're seasoning it differently. Chipotle powder is a great one. Any kind of spice or heat will make your salad just really, really taste delicious in a way that you look forward to it every day. It's not something that you're like, ugh, I have to eat salad again. I get so excited when I get to eat my salad at the end of the day. It's like the highlight of my day. Regardless of how many years I've been eating salad every single day, I really feel lost without it if I have to go even a single day without it. And you will understand exactly where I'm coming from if you start this strategy in your home. And by the way, the reason it's better to batch your salads as opposed to making them fresh every day, if that works for you, if you're not working, you're at home a lot, fine, go for it. But it's not really sustainable, because people get really tired of bringing everything out of the fridge, cutting everything up and putting everything back in the fridge day after day. This takes away all of that work and just makes it one comprehensive little time frame in your week where you just nail it out, and then you can have it for the rest of the week. So I hope this video was helpful, and I greatly look forward to rolling out my big project in a couple weeks here. So stay tuned. Bye guys.